What's happening, everybody? We're back. It's me, the resident supervillain, Mr. J. Washington.
The swaggy blerd, Winston A. Marshall.
We are here with the review for season 3, episode 8 of Doom Patrol on HBO MAX. If you ain't seen the joint yet, you already know. Come on back, because there will be spoilers. Before we go forward, allow me to say this. We are currently in the process of setting up an interview with a couple of the writers from the show. So just so y'all know, we're working on that now. Okay, and I definitely want to talk to this person because I found, we mentioned it on the last review, Ezra Daniels. We talked about how he, Shoshana, she wrote episode 5. She told us how he helps out a lot with the Vic storyline and the frenzy thing. And I bring that up because I just want to go into that out the gate. With this being the subconscious patrol and the whole thing with the eternal flagellation and the fog taking over and everybody going into the subconscious, and we forget that Vix is happening while he's about to go through this procedure. Right. And you see Vic as a kid in the toy store with his dad. And this hit on so many levels for me personally.
No, it hit for me too, and it's one of the things that, again, I give a lot of credit to the writing team. I mean, they've done, that's the whole thing though. If we're being honest, and we talk about this in every review we've done, they have done a very good job of acknowledging what being an other means and what it means and how your identity is shaped based
Ezra
off of
Daniels, I'm sorry, I don't know if I said his name correctly, so I want to make sure I corrected it. Go ahead.
Okay. I thought you did, but maybe
because you know how you have something in the back of your head is like, did I say that right? Go ahead.
Yeah, you said like you felt like you were sure you said Ezra Daniels, but you said Ezra Miller as like a Freudian slip or something. And you're just
that's
like,
what it was.
Yeah.
Okay. I was like, it's thinking Ezra Miller.
I thought you said Daniels, but
go ahead.
That's the only other. Anyway, my point is, this show has always been really good about addressing, again, identity as an other, but specifically, we were exploring really hard the first couple of seasons with Larry about like sexuality and sexual identity in that regard. You know what I mean? And so it's nice to see, because we were worried about other things with Vic, that he really is having to confront a lot of this. And as Black men had very similar mentalities. I remember my sister wanting, a black doll and them not being something that's available. I remember us the first time I love superheroes already. Batman was dope and whatnot. But I remember when Static Shock became a show and literally be like, holy shit. So
first of all, can I ask you a question?
Yeah, what up?
Did you say holy shit? Like
as a child, yes.
Yes. Yes, I didn't know you as a kid. You were just like, holy shit.
Little Romy all of a sudden, superhero, Static Shock. Woo, woo. I'm like, like, so.
So which one were you more excited for? Were you more excited for the Static Shock or Little Romeo? Like, I need clarification. I need clarification on this shit.
Clearly Static, because the Romeo theme was like season 2 or 3.
Yeah.
But my point is, what this child Vic is going through. He's in the toy store. He's looking now. The only thing I don't agree with, but then I'm like, okay, he's a child. Sometimes children are stupid. Is I may have gone looking for it. I would have pushed all them dolls to the side. I wouldn't have thrown them on the floor because I knew I would have got my ass whooped.
Okay, I was thinking the same. I think that's the thing. Let me tell you something. Okay, again, it's with a black daddy. Some black daddies are just a little bit more lenient than black mamas. Because as Winston and I both have black mothers, we both know, and we can attest to this. Let us have thrown one of them things on the floor. The level of cussing out and ass whooping possibly
that would have happened
in the store. Boy, do you think I got money to pay for this shit you throwing on the goddamn floor? For the fuck's wrong? And this was before, and this was the days before, cell phone recordings and also people being in other people's business. And where if you called yourself trying to be somebody to step in and tell a black mother, don't talk to your child like that, well, she will fuck you up. Like, you didn't want those in life. And so that was the thing. But to see the incident, though, where the store manager is like, I'm gonna have to call the police, and to have the security guard there. Those are things that really do happen.
Do you remember the first time you had an incident like that where your parents had to step in to stop some racism happening to you?
Yes. I was. It was, and the crazy part, it was in my neighborhood where I grew up. For those who don't know, I'm always talking about it. I grew up on the south side of Chicago. Excuse me. There was a Walgreens that used to be off 79th and Damon. And that was where I used to get my comic books because they would have the racks. And so I was looking through them. And so one of the managers, a white dude, was thinking I was still in the fucking. I was like, nigga, I'm reading. I didn't say nigga, I'm reading, but I was just reading them. And so I remember that my grandmother was with me at the time. So I've had that incident happen. I remember that as a kid.
Yeah. I don't remember as much an incident in a store like this, but I've told this story before. It was like my junior or senior year of high school, and I had went out with my homie, and we had went with two white girls to go see a movie. So what ended up happening, because we did there wasn't great parking in the movie theater, we all met at the park. And so my homie, we carpooled from the park to the movie theater. So we get back, my car won't start. And so me and my homie are there just like, okay, well, we got to, and then all of a sudden the cop pulls up and he goes, what are you two niggers doing here? And I was like, well, sir, my car won't start. We got to, like, we're trying to go home. And he's like, well, both of you I know are under 18, which means the curfew's in effect. And if you're not out of here in 15 minutes, I'm taking both of you little niggers to jail. And I was like, so I'm calling my mom, like, I need you to get here right now. Like, the car won't start. And I remember, I had already known about like race in America and the way we're treated because I had an incident happen to me earlier, but specifically that moment where like there's a switch that flips where, as Vic describes, he was with General Tony. General Tony and Vic described, they were like, that was the point at which Vic's childhood was erased. That was it. He became an adult at that point. He goes, I can't make any more mistakes. I need to be like General Tony at this point. And it's devastating to think that that was the moment that like changed the shape of who he became,
that's one of the things, and you agree, it changes the scope of a lot of things. And like you said, it takes away childhood. And more often than not, this happens to Black youth. And I think the thing too now is, and again, it ties into this episode, we're seeing it a lot on camera. We're seeing it a lot now play out with incidents with police officers being called to schools for kids and the roughing up and things like that. And then, like I said, to see Vic deal with this, and then later in his subconscious to realize, him say, I didn't even want this. And all these things he's going through. And then Silas in that moment in the store, like, let me fix this. And telling Vic, you can't afford to have a mistake like that because one mistake can cost you your life. Again, some people may see this in the show and think, oh, is it really like that? But coming from two Black men telling you this directly, it is like that.
Dude, literally, I mean, you can look at everything that happened last summer, but it's constantly happening. And the funny thing is, you don't even have to make a mistake and it can still cost you your life. So you damn sure can't afford a mistake. But I even think about, it's actually one of the things that I loved about Cloak and Dagger. There was a similar line that happened in that first episode where it was like, I'm just out here trying to whatever. It's like, I'm not, like, nothing I can do is right. And she's like, the problem is, even if you do everything right, I'm still worried I might lose you. And so like that's, I just really appreciate the fact that they are really going there this season, specifically with Vic, to really explore that, because again, all of the identity issues that everyone's gone through, I think, was big. And I want to talk about Larry next. But for us, this is something we can directly relate to. Right. You know what I'm saying? You can loosely relate to what Larry was going through or what Jane was going through or what Rita was going through, but we can directly relate to Vic and what led him to being Cyborg.
Speaking of Larry, we've known his entire identity issue, like you brought up earlier, has been since season 1, him coming to terms with his sexuality and it affecting his family because he loves his kids. He just never wanted to be married to a woman, right?
Right.
You see him visiting the day he's getting married and him talking to his mother. And finally, Larry has to tell his mom, like, yo, like, look, I'm gay. Like, this is what it is. And she's like, yo, just pray it away, basically. Just trust the Lord, do what's right.
And it's what's so interesting about this, and so we didn't really touch on it immediately, but the flagellation, as we were
flagellation.
Flagellation.
Look at Cliff. Look at Cliff.
Yeah. Flagellation. The flagellation is supposed to be the particular moment that your shame was at its peak that pushes. So for Vic, it was that moment of the doll and getting chastised in the store. For Larry, it's not standing up to his mother and saying, I'm gay, I'm not going to marry this way. He didn't stand up to her. So that's why the Larry we're familiar with in the Bandages does finally say that to his mom, to kind of get there. But it was so interesting to watch because I know a number of friends who are part of the LGBTQ community where that's exactly how parents respond. Some respond worse, where they're like, I disown you, you're dead to me, get out of my house, whatever type shit. But this is that situation where here, just no, just pray it away, go marry this woman. And the effed up part about it is she's not only traumatizing her son by doing that, she's traumatizing this woman that he is now being forced to kind of go through with this marriage with, and ultimately traumatizing the kids. Now, not knowing he's going to become negative man, but if he's sitting here on the download now.
Sorry. I know you're serious. I know you're real thorough. But me hearing you say that real fast, when you say you're about to become negative man, I was like, it's like, did you say he's about to become negative man? Like,
negative man? What is wrong with you? Yo, he out here turning into negative man. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
the negative spirit.
it comes out with the dashiki on and shit, looking like a hotep.
All of a sudden, it's a white man with the dashiki spirit on the inside. Oh my god!
Instead of being blue, the color is just dashiki colors. My guy, it's just Pan-African colors coming out here being like.
The negative spirit is Dr. Umar. It comes out of Larry.
Oh my god.
Okay.
But
you go
but it's the idea, and it's so interesting, and we have discussed this again and again about how parents have affected us. Mm-hmm. You look at how his mom has genuinely, like, we looked at how Larry fucked up his kids, but look at how his mom really fucked him up by not truly accepting him. You just need to pray it away, babe. You need to pray it away. Which, again, it's how a large swath of the world, unfortunately, still treats anybody that has any association with the LGBTQ community.
Well, it tied this little thing, this one little bitty thing you're talking about right now, and I know it's not little in the grand scheme of things, but this one little bitty thing ties into Jane's thing. What's the word of the day on Underground Avenue?
Hold on. Trauma.
What is that Larry just went through with his mother?
Yeah, it's trauma. Well, so was Vic.
But hold on. It's also what we know as generational trauma. Because again, you just stated it. Larry's trauma with his mother is translated to the trauma with his
wife and kids.
To his wife and kids. So yeah, I just wanted to make sure we brought, because I just noticed those, you know, those little interweaving things. And again, it's like when you hear, because when you get to the part where the subconscious and the current conscious are talking, and when subconscious Larry tells Larry, that's the reason you wear those bandages, so you can keep people away from you. You know, because like it's funny because they go back and forth like I'm right until the regular conscious has to have this come to Jesus moment, if you will,
with their subconscious,
of like, damn, you got a point. And when they have those change, now let's go to Jane, which, as you know, last episode when we did the review, we were like, look, we get puppets on the show, and first of all,
I love the explanation as to why the puppets were there. So it was that. For each person, again, it was that kind of shame moment and the thing that would help them. Did you watch the after talk that the
No, I was literally about to when we started, so I probably watch it afterwards, but you did, so go ahead.
They were just talking about how that moment and specifically Kay, a lot of the times, in order to zone things out, in order to be okay, would watch children's shows. So she's imagining, that's why Kay imagines herself as an adult. And that all of them being puppets like that is because that was her safe space where she goes in her subconscious to kind of handle all of this. Okay. So it's interesting because it's still the underground, because Jane comes in and is like, I mean, is this the underground? What the hell is going on?
No.
But it's Underground Avenue.
Yeah. What in the Jim Henson devilry? What in the creepy puppet Jim Henson devilry is? I was like, yeah, that's about... First of all, shout out to the Puppet Factory. I don't know if it was Henson's, but whoever made those puppets,
great.
Dude, that hammerhead puppet was the best thing to me.
Dude, we learned her name.
Pretty Polly.
Was Pretty Polly the one with the X's?
Yes, and whose nose fell off.
Yeah, dude. But like, oh my god, dude! I just thought that was really cool because you even started to see where everybody else was coming to a very calm place when Jane, who technically is now is Because I guess K, right, she's the primary. So K came out as the subconscious. Right. And so then Jane was the one that was trapped in there. So then when Jane came to have a talk with K, Kay was like, I'm grown now. I don't need you anymore. Like, you need to die. Like, you heard the word of the day was trauma. You need to go away and like die. I don't want you. And Jane loses it. And understandably so.
Well, that's before. Remember, in Underground Avenue, Harry is the one, the puppet she saves from the lamb she saves from the well. Harry is. Hey man, can we look? Rest in peace to Harry, man.
Bro, they made lamb chops out of that nigga. like, bro. Oh my God.
And look, Harry just out here trying to live his life. You know what I'm saying? He just got a second chance of life. He got out the well. You know what I'm saying? He got cleaned up. He out here living on his own. Subconscious show. You know what I'm saying? He chilling with the peoples. All of a sudden, they like, man, fuck you too. And this nigga loses the ear, and then they just beat the
like, bro, that shit was absolutely wild.
God, but yeah, it goes to the, again, I'm sorry to cut you off. It goes back to the, again, when we talk about the subconscious and the conscious. To see Puppet Jane talking to adult Jane, and well, Kay, shall we say, so Kay, and Kay being like, I don't need you. You bring me the most trauma. Like that, I don't know if that's a subconscious thing or is it that her worst fear? See, because it's you get what I'm saying? Like with Larry, we know subconscious. We know of subconscious with Vic and even Cliff. But Jane's worst fear is not being needed and therefore not existing.
Well, but see, that is actually the fear of all of the personalities at this point.
Yes, we talked about that.
She's just late to the party because you saw her now with them and having that conversation. She's kind of looking at the rest of them being like, we're gonna have to lock this bitch back up because she ain't just gonna go out here and erase all of us.
Well, she didn't think that. Again, she was like, according to Jane, Jane's like, yo, Kay can live on her own, but we still here. And Dr. Harrison is like, bitch, do you not understand? If she gets well,
we're gonna disappear.
We're not needed. Which is also fucked up because when they're having the conscious meeting, sit down, and Cliff is like, we get the one personality that can't do shit. I was like, yo.
That shit was mad disrespectful, bro.
It was you're the one that just can't do nothing. I'm like, ew. But it does speak a lot. Again, we talk about, that is another thing with the identity and the healing process of people who suffer from DID. Do they let the personalities go? Because here's the wild part behind this. Okay, negative man, whatever. By the way, Larry went back to pick up the larva because he felt sad for it after leaving it with a scarf and a thermos. He was like, I'll never leave you again. I felt like there was bodyguard with
because it's now his third child. It's his last chance to be a good daddy.
That's exactly what it is. It's his chance to be a dad. But you got Kay, who's, if she grows up, what happens? Like, again, Larry can still potentially be negative, man. If that's I think everybody believes that's the negative spirit in the cocoon that has to be reborn through him, right? We know that. So he'll still be his thing. Vic can turn back into cyborg because, again, yes, he has the artificial skin, but as you remember from the previous episode, his nanotech, and his prosthetics, they're all code. So all you gotta do is change the code again. It's all computer code.
Are you sure?
Remember,
because that was my concern. Because looking at the scars, it looks like that metallic spine is gone. It looks like the actual nanites and whatnot in his armors. They all look like scars.
Well, she said the prosthetics, the overall prosthetics to have the arm and stuff like that, those are there. The skin is on top of it.
Okay.
And she was like, it's just a matter of the code because it's nanotech.
Okay.
So it's a matter of the code. So he can go back. But again, if Kay disappears with everything, all the personalities go, which brings me to our last one, Cliff, which is, let me say this before we even go further.
Okay.
If this episode of this show is not nominated for an Emmy for writing and performance, I think the Emmy is full. Look, the Emmys finally decided to give superhero shows a chance with all the things they nominated WandaVision for. Did WandaVision win a lot? No, but the fact it was nominated. We've always said on these review shows, Diane Guerrero should be nominated for an Emmy. If you nominate Diane Guerrero for what she did in this one, you better nominate Brendan fucking Fraser.
Yeah.
Because, first of all, it's always been hilarious hearing him be the voice of Robot Man, right? Mm-hmm. But to see Brendan Fraser act opposite himself, what the fuck? What the fuck? What the fuck? What the fuck? and
that's pretty great.
And again, the moments, the seriousness of Cliff having his come to Jesus moment.
Dude, that to me, I think was the one, while I may have been able to identify, like, to see what Larry's going through and directly associate with Vic, and then obviously everything Jane's going through, we're connecting those dots. This one is the one I think that hit me the hardest, because it 1,000% is somebody that has like a major problem, like a major like addiction problem, and he gets even into talking about, I came from nothing. Mm-hmm. Then someone told me I was special. And then that all of a sudden made me chase feeling special for the rest of my life, and insane sacrifices. And so, like, to know that he went in to the warehouse or wherever the pit crew garage, left his daughter in the car to go do blow and fuck a stripper on his birthday, bro. Like, and that it apparently was a regular occurrence.
It was a regular thing.
I think this was the first time that it specifically happened where he left her in there for hours. He came in late at the end of the night, fucked up, and then took her home. Like, dude.
But when the stripper tells him, you got somebody in the car. And for him to have this moment to say, he said the one thing that I think a lot of people never want to hear someone say, but you need to hear it be said. And it's the hardest thing. And the thing is, I never asked to be a parent. And I'm saying this as a parent. I'm not saying I've never asked to be a parent. Look, my kids are here. I love my babies. My son, look, shouts out to a bottle of Moscato and an air mattress and some pre-lit candles on Valentine's Day.
I'm not going to let you
Shut
do this. I'm not going to let you do this. You leave that boy alone.
I'm just saying. He's here. That's how my son got here. I laid the groundwork. When it came to my daughter's mother and I thought my daughter's mother couldn't have kids. So with the surprise of her being pregnant, my daughter's mother at first, she had to adjust to that because she thought she couldn't. I have a child. So I'm ready for these things, right? This is the example I'm using. I accepted that. Cliff basically saying, I never wanted to be a parent. I had to suck it up. He's like, I had to, scarf down pills and have sex with strippers so I can handle another day of changing diapers.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying? How deep that goes? Yeah. And the thing is, you have parents to this day who will never openly, they'll say they love their kids, but they won't admit that they didn't want this. Yeah. And you see now, this is why Cliff is trying so hard currently with Clara. Not just because of the Niles admitting him doing the shit to him having this, it's been eating him up and never openly admitting it. That's what I'm saying. And then again, you get where I'm going, where I was going with all this.
It was. I don't. I think it's another one of those cases. Like, I don't love talking about Louis C.K. a lot nowadays, but like, I remember there was a very specific joke about his kids where he's like, I love them with all of my heart, but sometimes I'm just like, and it's like on a Saturday when like I'm like getting the best, I'm just getting to sleep in, I'm having the best sleep of my life, everything is perfect, I'm like really in this mode, and then all of a sudden, daddy, I need the milk. You're like, shut up, no, don't wake me up, please, don't wake me up. And so this seems to be that particular thing here with Cliff, is this idea that he does love his daughter, as all parents tend to do, any good parent tends to do, but he, like you said, since he didn't want to be a parent, he's just being mad and fucking irresponsible, and again, had to come to terms with this. And that was the big thing I think that was so painful. He comes to terms with it. And what's funny is, fortunately for Larry, there was enough time for him to undo what he did. Cyborg is fully human now, and you said he can change back, but the operation was complete. Cliff was in the middle of using that credit card. So she came in and was like, this isn't working out. You need to leave. Bro, that broke me. Oh, man, that was bad. Because I was like, oh, no, they're going right back to where they were. Oh,
like,
shit.
At that exact moment. But again, when you had Cliff arguing with Cliff, when Cliff was like, yo, because at first you saw Robot Cliff was like, look at the Cliff like, yo, we don't do this. Like, we don't talk about our shit. Like, we let this shit go. And then you basically had this moment between the cliffs.
No, fuck you! Fuck you! Fuck you! Fuck you!
That was them going back. That was them going back and forth with each other. That was literally them going back and forth with each other because one doesn't want to admit it. The other one is like hesitant to admit it. And then for Brendan Fraser to say, look, this is what I was bringing up earlier with everything. When I was talking about the healing and all this. He was like, it don't matter no more. I'm dying. Parkinson's got me.
Yeah.
I'm deteriorating. So here's the question I ask of that. Is there something, because again, if Kay heals, Kay's gone, right? I mean, Jane's gone. If Kay heals, Jane's gone. Larry can still have the negative spirit. Shouts out Dr. Umar. Vic, if he decides to reverse, can reverse. Is there going to be some way they can download Cliff's brain into something to keep him still relevant? Because if the organic brain dies, remember, that's what makes Robot Man himself.
I know we have a 4th season, and I know we've kind of set ourselves up to, we're not quite sure where things are going, but the way things are currently set is that all 5 of them,
Yes, 5. Rita. Because Rita doesn't have to deal with this because of her flagellation.
Well, but all 5 of them, in whatever shape they are, will not be around the same anymore. So it's going to be very interesting to see what direction then changes through the rest of the season. Just because, again, Vic pulling out the cyborg pieces and stuff like that, the idea that Jane may be erased, the fact that Cliff's brain is rotting. We don't even necessarily know yet him throwing up that, because we thought he was dying. There was a lot of like red herrings about who is dying right now. Because remember, he was like, I have a tumor. That's it. I'm gone.
It's not a tumor.
It's not a tumor. It's a maggot.
It's not a tumor. Every time someone said, shouts out to the inner kid in all of us who grew up with Kindergarten Cop, because anytime somebody says tumor, no matter how serious it is or not, you always go, it's not a tumor. Sorry, couldn't help it. Just wanted to.
But I mean, I'm just really interested to see how their characters evolve. And then let's get to the last kind of major part of this, is the actual birth of Madame Rouge officially, and Rita's reinvention and how her own time travel. So remember, we had the theory that maybe it was Madame Rouge that came back looking like Rita to mess with folks. So we find out, no, Rita actually did time travel herself and kept herself in the building so that she could, like she said, so I would always end up in my endless love like time loop, because essentially it was about to not happen.
We find out the dude that saved him in the underworld is actually Malcolm.
Yep.
Yo, I think that part for me, I'm sorry to cut you off, bro. My apologies. That part for me is wild. The fact that Rita is in an endless loop to ensure this happened. Like, that is genius to me, or as far as the writing go.
It's pretty great. It reminds me of like probably one of my favorite time travel loops was the one from Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban. So the whole time turner thing. You've not either read the books or seen the movie? It's extremely well done, because it's that moment where
you're speaking foreign language to me.
It's the moment specifically where Harry thinks he's about to get killed by Dementors, and he sees Patronus. He sees a charm that takes them away, and he goes, "Oh, it was my dad. My dad's still alive. That was his charm. That's him." Well, it turns out that as you move forward, because there's a lot of like bad shit that happens and they need to undo it, they time travel back like 24 hours, not even 24, it might have been like 12 hours. And so the person that saved Harry actually was himself. So it's always cool to see when like they properly get that situation where it's like, you're actually saving yourself, fool. You just don't even know it yet. You know what I mean? Like, they did it really well.
Lovecraft Country does it. You didn't see it. You haven't seen it. Yeah. There's a thing where Jonathan Major's character comes back in time to save his dad, and they don't realize it until he realizes it. It's just this. Though I think those things are done well, because sometimes you never really think that it's that particular character. But you were saying about Rita. Continue. I'm sorry.
No, I think it's very interesting that a lot of this is there was the fact that the machine was erasing your memory And yet when she was about to get in it a second time, it was giving her back all of her memories.
Shout out to Shipley, by the way, for giving the dope narration. It was like, could it be that the inertia? And then Rita starts talking to the ship, and he was like, or whatever happens.
Wild, dude. Absolutely wild. I mean, what did you think about the whole Rita situation?
It's making Rita, because now with the past and the present having everything, I think this makes Rita stronger as a person and a hero than what she's ever been. Because
she's in more control of her powers, I'll tell you that much.
She's in more control. She's in more control. Her level of emotion, though, and her reason. Why are you? It's that. Why are you consistently? You know what I'm saying? And you have Rita, who now already she's driven by Madame Rouge killing Malcolm. She's driven by that, right? She understands the Sisterhood of Dada isn't what was originally told. And the love of her life, she hadn't been in love in decades. She's had amazing, we talked about last time, she had an amazing orgasm thanks to Flex Mentallo, but now she's never been in love. And the love of her life, she knows why it was taken, and that drives her. And it ties into the birth of one of their greatest villains.
I mean, I loved seeing the Brotherhood of Evil again, and the fact that the brain was like, Mr. Marlowe was like, can I tell her name? And he's like, I would never take that from you. So we want to name you Madame Rouge. And he's like, nigga, like, are you for real? And he's like, I'm sorry, I got excited. Like, I just, you know what I'm saying? Like,
you just fucking told me. But also, you see how evil. Like, we remember, like, we talked about this in every episode we've talked about. We're like, yo, Madame Rouge is evil. Madame Rouge is evil. For those of you who haven't seen Teen Titans and all this, Madame Rouge is evil. And when Rita tells her, like, you just like the power, she was like, yeah. And I would never admit it outside of this room. But like, you find out, I love stamping weapons on these freaks and doing all this and that. And it just is like, yo, I think, because if you look at the preview for Evil Patrol, Madame Rouge is even too evil for the fucking Brotherhood of Evil.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? They're like, oh no, we can't, no.
No, ma'am, too much. Too much. Please step away.
Like, ma'am, you are way more than we thought you would be. And so, but going back to Rita, the flagellation is done. Her battle is with Madame Rouge. But at the same time, she's going to have to figure out, remember, she's going to have to be the person to figure out how to get the team back together.
Right.
And I think one of the biggest things we probably forget, it was a small Easter egg that happened that kind of falls off, that'll come back, is Niles putting her in charge, in a sense, instilling her with this power, giving her that key to let her know all these things, to see now Rita to figure out this was my purpose.
Right. But I love that, though, because again, it also, not to keep tying things to MCU shit or nothing, but that then just reminds me of like Loki and his whole idea of like his glorious purpose, which he keeps thinking one way or the other, which Rita has a similar kind of mentality to actually finding it now and moving with some agency instead of this like I am Rita Fall, like blah blah blah, like actress extraordinaire. Now she has some real agency in her life.
Sir, do you want to do that again? Do it again?
I'm Rita Fall, actress extraordinaire.
If I never see you do your bottom lip like that again, I will
Rita Fall.
Fall.
Rita Fall.
Nigga!
Glad you did it. You know what? It said it best.
Hey, what you really wanted to do was... But all right, man. If you had to rate this episode, man, what would you give it?
This gets a 5. This gets a 5. It's flawless to me because the come to Jesus moments, the understanding of who you are, why you are who you are, what you've been through that you try to ignore that has brought you to this point. Yeah. All of that comes to a head, and it's amazing to see. And again, to see, first of all, Matt Bomer in the flesh with Brendan Fraser in the flesh being the characters.
Well, that's the one thing I'm actually really curious about Brendan Fraser as well. But with Matt Bomer, like he was talking about, he was like, I always got a feeling that there was like a real like set family here, and I finally got to like experience it because I keep forgetting that he also is not. It's Matthew Zook, I believe.
Matthew Zook, yeah.
Zook is the actual body of
and
Nick,
Riley Shanahan is Brendan Fraser's.
Right, and so it's kind of so they're not on set; they're just recording VO for the whole.
They're just ADR. Yep.
So that is that. Him explaining it, and I wonder if Brendan feels the same way about like you didn't get the chance to hang out with all these amazing people the last couple of years. Maybe at like the holiday parties and shit, or at the table read, but like you're not really getting to spend that time with everybody. So like I'm sure like he had expressed how cool it was for him to do this. And I agree. I give it a 5. It's not just because their acting was the two of them's acting was phenomenal, but that definitely goes up there. I just think that again, we are spending the season really understanding who the present people are instead of addressing specifically what they went through before. It is now who are you presently, and this was an episode to see why they became who they are presently. Yeah, I just thought it was so well done, man. And it blew me away. Like I saw your tweet about I'm catching a thug tear because of Cliff. I won't lie, I got a little misty eyed just with everybody, especially with Vic being like, I had to give up my childhood, bro. Like this was
Vic. Vic got me. Vic got me because, but I think the thing with me not saying that about Vic in this one was because I've been on board with that, since the first time, him and the Frenzy interaction.
Yeah.
I've been, what I'm saying? The emotion was already there. Yeah. That's a given for me.
Yeah.
But to watch Brendan Fraser had to tell himself, man, fuck you. Look, I didn't want to do this. And now it don't matter. Like, I don't matter no more because I'm dying.
Yeah.
I just want to know, are they going to download his brain in this? That's the thing I was going to say. All that. So again, we want to know what y'all thought about this episode.
Ooh, I bet you I know what they'll do. They'll figure out how the brain has not gotten Parkinson's or any other brain degenerative disease, and they're going to probably try and do a similar thing for Cliff.
Yeah, but here's the thing about that. It's the brain has been the brain, right? We'll figure out how the brain has survived so long, right? That's one thing. Mm-hmm. But Parkinson's is, as of now, irreversible. So unless you find, like you said, unless they figure out the brain had Parkinson's before it was Parkinson's, before it was diagnosed as Parkinson's, then
but that's the thing. The brain is also supposedly one of the most intelligent minds in like the DC universe. So it's also it's possible, especially because he's a villain, bro. You think he's gonna give to the world a cure for Parkinson's? He's like, nah, I'm gonna fix my shit, and y'all motherfuckers can sit and spin, bro. What?
Since
you've never heard sit? You never heard it before? You've never heard that phrase before?
I've heard it, but I never thought you would just tell what the brain would tell people.
You literally heard you heard me say it, and you were like,
"Ain't no way, ain't no fucking way."
And if you want to see more of things like this, check out Blerds in the Hood every Tuesday and Thursday, 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 on the East Coast. YouTube.com and Twitch.tv, both /Blerds in the Hood. BLERDS, the letter N, THEHOOD. I can be found at Mr. J Washington, Twitter, Instagram, everywhere else. Yourself, sir.
Yeah, you can find me at the Swaggy Blerd, wherever Swaggy Blerds are sold, Twitter, Instagram, all that good stuff. It gets you every time. Because I forget you say that.
Wherever. Because I just want to walk into a store, be like, be looking at a shelf and be like,
ain't no way, ain't no fucking way.
You're like, y'all got any of them swaggy blurs, man? Like, I need one, dog.
Need a swaggy blerd in my life. If it's your first time checking us out, please go ahead and subscribe here to the channel, and because we drop more reviews of these shows every week. Again, please stay tuned for the interview we will have coming with Ezra Daniels. Either it will be here on the channel or more than likely over on Blerds in the Hood on the channel itself proper on the show, but the interview will land there no matter what. So y'all know that. All right. Holla at y'all next week for Eva Patrol and more Mansour Mala. Give me a talking gorilla with a French accent any goddamn day of the week. I'm here for.
Here's the question: You want? Would you prefer Mansour Mala,
He gonna go Grod
or Grod or Humanite?
Oh,
which gorilla you rocking with, bro?
As a big black guy, I plead the fifth on answering that question. We out here. Bye.